Author Interview with T.K. Wilson.
Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, I was born in North Carolina, but I don't remember it. I grew up in a small town in New York that was, the river was polluted and everything about it was funky. The entire town was funky. What I really wanted to be when I grew up was a librarian. But I ended up being an author, which is close.
Alright. So, what is your latest book about?
My latest book, and currently my only book, is Chronicle of the Hidden People, Volume 1, The Book of the White Raven, which is a high fantasy, urban fantasy combo. It defies explanation, really. But it's about a high-ranking family of elves and their adventures involving a human girl.
Oh. So, when did you start writing?
With purpose when I was 11.
Alright.
I started with fan fiction, and I'm not ashamed to admit, to admit that. I think that fan fiction can be valuable for young authors learning how to do things. However, when, people actually publish it like it's some sort of magic bullet, it can be a problem. I'm looking at you, 50 Shades. No, I won't let that go.
I don't expect you to. How did you come up with the idea for this book specifically?
Any number of things. The too long didn't read version is, I watch movies and I know things. But I have always been fascinated by fairy lore from various countries, but mostly England, Scotland, and Ireland.
Oh, alright.
I've just found it so fascinating, and the concept of the other world of Celtic mythology is fascinating, because most cultures around the world have one. The exception being most parts of Africa.
Yeah.
But it was a combination of various books and movies, including Lord of the Rings, The Chronicles of Narnia, the Lord of the Rings films, which are, slightly different from the movie, anybody can tell you that.
Right.
Various cartoons like Aladdin the series, comics, 80s television, and I think that's really about it when it comes to the influences of my book.
What was it like writing your first book?
Nerve-wracking!
Alright.
Because I have been writing, like I said, since I was 11, so a good 20 years-ish, I guess. Maybe not that long.
Give or take.
But I never really published anything because I just thought it wasn't ready yet.
Yeah. Everyone would think it's stupid.
Yeah. Because I am naturally a shy person, and aside from non-fiction items, that was all I really published was non-fiction items, because nobody can make fun of me for that.
Well, sure they can.
Well, they can, that doesn't mean they do.
And they did.
Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah, I forgot about him.
That dweeb. Alright, how did you go about publishing your book? Would you do it that way again? Why or why not?
I went indie on Kindle Direct Publishing because I could control my rights and everything about my book I could control. Because I learned from the experiences of others like Jack Kirby, even Stan Lee himself, Roy Thomas, some of the other comic creators of the 60s and 70s, they didn't own their work. They didn't have it in their contract that they owned their work. And then, of course, there was the infamous fire in 2008 at the Universal Music Vaults, which destroyed thousands of of pieces of music, scripts, film. Heaven knows what really was in there. We don't know, but if the original artist had had charge over those masters, it wouldn't have happened. So I wanted to control every aspect of my work, and I would do it again. I'm going to continue to do it again. I will not go to a traditional publishing house.
Alright. That's a good idea. Are you planning on writing more? If so, what are you working on now?
I'm definitely planning on writing more. I am currently working on the sequel, Volume 2, The Book of Evermore. I don't know when that'll be out. I'm working on the first draft right now. The first section of the book is taking longer than I thought, so it might need to be divided into 2 books. Who knows? But I'm working on that right now. Things are going well as can be expected.
Why do you write?
Because I have no choice. I have been telling stories to myself and to others since before I took it up as a legitimate hobby. So I really had no choice in the matter. God gave me the gift of telling stories, and I have to use it.
What helps you write? Music, pets, reading, a specific pen, etc.
Usually music, reading various books. Currently, though this has nothing whatsoever to do with the subject matter of my books, I have been jamming on Tove Jansson's Moomins books. Yeah, go figure. I just love her descriptions of nature. So it does have something to do with my book. Never mind. But I'll watch sections of movies and TV shows to help with various scenes. I'll study different people's body language and the sounds of their voice to do the creative part, but mostly I listen to music, all different genres, everything from classical to symphonic metal.
Nice. What has writing taught you?
Patience, and that it really isn't that hard to publish something. It really isn't that scary. I mean, yeah, there are going to be mean people, but there are mean people all over the place. You can ask any even moderately successful person, there are going to be mean people wherever you go.
Who are you inspired by in your writing?
Lewis, Tolkien, Tove Jansson. I mean, Tolkien and Lewis are obvious choices.
Yeah.
But I've actually learned a lot from anime. So I love the films of Studio Ghibli and Puella Magi Madoka Magica. Gen Urobuchi's execution of what he does is absolutely flawless. And I also watch it to learn what not to do. Like you, Ancient Magus' Bride.
Do you go back and reread your writing after it's completed?
Yes, and I always find flaws.
You always will.
But I choose to let it go. Because it's not going to be it's not going to be absolutely word perfect. Nothing is word perfect, really. Oh, Brian Jakes too.
Yes, Brian Jakes. What is your advice for writers?
Keep doing it. Even if your family doesn't get it, keep working at it. Even if you just publish fan fiction, keep doing it, because even in the most obscure places, people need to hear you, especially if you're a Christian. People need to hear you, they need to understand what you have to say, and they need to hear the news of Jesus in whatever subtle way you can do it, even if it's just writing a good story. Excellence is not to be feared.
Is there anything more you'd like to add?
I'd like to thank Logosophia for this opportunity, and speaking of Logosophia, you can read a separate series of Evermore stories on the Logosophia website about one of the main characters in my upcoming book and his family. Well, more like this is before he was born, so his parents.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your time.